Hey, Allie,
Hey,
did you know that one mature tree can absorb 48 pounds of carbon dioxide every single year and produce enough oxygen for two people annually?
imagine what we would like accomplish with all of our trees.
Exactly. If we had more trees, stop cutting down more of them, they would be accomplishing a whole lot, especially in the face of rising carbon emissions.
Literally.
Well, guys, welcome back to Green Thread. I'm Alexis.
And I'm Allie.
And today we're here to pull on the thread of footprints and what our footprints mean and how we can reduce our footprints and make them a little bit greener. So, for my sustainability class this semester, we have talked about we did a lot of reflection in that class. And part of that is doing some footprint calculators. So, we did one for plastic, we did one for water, and we did one for carbon. The carbon emission calculator was like for your whole household. That one was a little bit more difficult for me because it required like how much money a month do you spend on, or like how much do you spend on your bills for certain
Yeah.
gas or however your house is powered. So I had some help from my parents with that one. But just taking the time to do these calculators has made me realize that there are very tangible ways that you can reduce your own footprint. And even if it's multiple people living in your house, like I share a house with my parents and living with them. So I talked to them about it and I'm like, hey, would you guys be willing to, reduce the temperature in the winter or increase it in the summer or not use as much heating and air, things like that you can do. It's these little changes that could help for your own personal life. A couple other ones that I did, which that carbon footprint one is on the EPA's website. They're the ones that provided that. The other ones that we did, the plastic one, there were a couple of them. I can't remember the name of a couple of them, but the one that I did was called Happy Turtle Calculator, which sounds like so
Yeah.
almost phony, but it was really good information. It was asking about how much you use like single-use plastics and things like that.
Yeah.
Not just straws. It wasn't just like straws save the turtles and stuff like that. And then there was for the water footprint, it was watercalculator.org, and that allowed me to see my own personal water use and my household. So it asks you how many people are in your household and how long, your whole household keeps the sinks on or how long you take a shower personally. And so taking all of that information, I've been able to reflect on myself and say, okay, maybe I have been taking a shower for a little bit too long. Maybe I have been leaving the lights on too long. Maybe I drive my car too much, using too much that way. So I think looking at these things is very, very important to look at. And there's a lot of different other types of calculators out there as well for what other types of materials you're using or putting out into the environment. And it's important. It's so important to just be aware of yourself and to see what you can do to make a difference, not just, looking at other things or on a big picture, but whenever you make it kind of personal, it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah, because like those are things that you usually make a habit of. And so if you are like learning what your habits are doing for the environment or like what they're doing for, your pocket technically, because at the end of the day, some people like pay
Yeah.
for utilities and such, then it can save you a lot of money, but it also can like help you, be more cautious about what you're doing. Because like our footprints aren't just like carbon or plastic or ecological, there's so many different types of footprints that we leave on the earth, especially digital, which is
Yes.
one of the main
Yes.
things that like are being used, especially since COVID. But I know like with like carbon, people like talking about transportation, which we were just mentioning with cars, but like it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to like take public transportation, because some people like it's just not accessible, which is a whole other issue.
Oh, yeah.
But it could also just be like not idling. Like if you're in the parking lot, just turn off your car, or turn it to like just the electrical side, which is battery, but anyways, and then like biking or walking, if anything's in walking distance, taking advantage of that, because that can help you with your body and fitness. But with back to like cars, also like braking and accelerating very smoothly, which is just good practice for driving anyways.
Yeah.
But it can also help you have fuel efficiency with your car. or just like, little tips like that aren't like too big with digital footprints, emailing, kind of unsubscribing from email lists that you don't need anymore, restricting people that you can't, that don't really serve a purpose to like emailing you. Another one that I thought was interesting that I learned was using a VPN.
Oh,
I didn't know that would reduce your digital footprint, but it like when it encrypts your data, then all these different people can't access it. So it's like protection, but
yeah.
also like you aren't spreading information all these other places. Changing passwords to be foolproof, but and like deleting old passwords. Clearing your cache, which is a good thing that I have
Yeah.
started doing with like apps. Because with like, I don't know if any of people are watching this have Apple, which a lot of people do, but a lot of times you'll see that your iPhone storage is like getting full, but you don't like know what's causing it, or it just says like other or like system. If you just go and like delete all the big apps like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and then re-download them, it just gets rid of like a bunch of like data that's not being used, and it'll in turn cause your storage to go down. But just like clearing out all of that is just a good practice to have, to get rid of some extra stuff for you and for your digital footprint. Another thing with like water, not only is it good, like we were talking about with showers, like to watch how much water you use and turn off your sink when you're washing dishes if you're not like actually actively washing them off. Or same with like shaving, you can turn off the water while you're shaving, but also like your food choices can really
Yeah.
impact water. Like with meat, I know like we're talking about like diets is different than like your food choices, but as far as like meat goes, that's like one of the main things that uses a bunch of water. People don't like realize.
Yeah.
But that was another cool things. But just encouraging people to recycle, to like the whole three big R's: reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yeah.
And that alone can encompass everything we've talked about too. But like all these different ways that you can reduce your footprint can also in turn make you yourself a citizen science. Throwing it back to that episode in regards to protecting our environment.
Absolutely. And with recycling, excuse me, it's this is your doom and gloom of the episode, but one of my professors, we were talking, and he said that maybe only about 7% of things get recycled correctly.
Yep.
And it sucks because we want to do the right things. There's a recycling can in this room right now, for paper, and you just think about it, and it's just heartbreaking because people want to do the right thing. People want to recycle. If the option is there, sure, why not? I'll throw my plastic water bottle away into the recycling instead of in the trash can right next to it because the option is there. But unfortunately, even with the option there, we have now started to realize that we're trying, but who it's going to, the company or the corporation that is taking care of it or the building that it's in, they don't pay for someone to come pick up recycling. They don't send it to the correct place, or the place that they're sending it to maybe having incorrect practices, and they may not do the correct thing with it anyway. And it just sucks. It just really sucks because we want to do the correct thing, and
Yep.
we're being inhibited from that. And going back to digital footprint, I wanted to mention that could also not only be sustainable for you just as a human being and your online digital image and footprint, but that could be good ecologically as well regarding e-waste and
Yep.
regarding the sustainability of your devices. You could potentially make your devices last longer. You could potentially save the batteries of your devices for a longer period of time, because I know once you start filling up your storage, you're using your device all the time, it starts functioning not as well as it could be. So by clearing out that storage, by deleting your emails, unsubscribing, and using your device a little bit less in that sense with emails and things like that, and by freeing up that storage, you're giving your device a little bit of a break, and that could potentially give your phone or your device a couple more years of life and prevent it from being exported out of the country and improperly recycled, or just improperly recycled here in the United States.
Exactly. And going off of that, like with not everything is recyclable. Like
Mm-hmm.
even if it has the little arrows on the bottom, you have to look at the number, which is what they call a resin ID code, and check with your local guidelines of recycling places that and see if it's actually recyclable too. So like not only do you have to kind of keep in mind like where they're going to be recycled and if it's actually happening. Because like you said, it really is unfortunate how the US is very behind on that and like exporting things to be recycled. But also like some places falsely advertise things as being recyclable, but they actually genuinely aren't. And we always talk about like plastics not being a forever recyclable thing. So like you can recycle them 2 or 3 times and then their quality is so bad that they can't keep, remaking things. But it goes off of like any type of material that says it is, you have to make sure that it is before, because like some people, the whole myth of like, I hope this is recyclable, but they put it in anyways, that just makes the whole process even longer, because then like machines will either malfunction because something is going through them that they can't actually process, but also like people that are at those facilities having to sift through things have to then sift through not only yours, but I'm sure that mindset is so prominent within everybody, so they have to then multiply that by what, 6 billion people.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that's almost like a bystander effect when it comes to that, because like, oh, well, I may not, know about this, but the people working at the facility know, or the machine knows. But with so many people having that mindset, it becomes overwhelming. And that's almost a deterrent for the companies that are doing this, or people who are picking up recycling, or companies who pay someone to recycle. It's like, okay, well, we have found that 80% of the things that go in there aren't even recyclable anyway. So why are we even doing this? Because people don't even know. So
Right.
that's another reason why it's just so important to stay informed about these things. And as a consumer, to do your research. And if you really do want to make that big difference that we talk about all the time with your personal habits, with your personal actions, just go online. I'm sure there's an infographic somewhere of the different numbers and symbols on plastics that you can find, and do a quick Google search of recycling facilities in your state, in your city. And there are places that you can go to that will correctly recycle your things. And it is a little bit of work, but this is a very much call to action episode, and a very much, we want you to do this and we want you to be informed and do the right thing. And that does require some effort, but that's what this is all about. We need to make a change. We need that effort. We need that fuel for this movement.
I mean, take other countries, for example, like Germany. 60% of their overall goods like get recycled versus us, which is 30%, if that. So other countries are doing it. We can do it too. America, land of the great.
Yeah, absolutely.
But another thing, like, there's a lot of myths too about like different types of recyclables, but also just like recycling in general. So kind of just being educated a little bit and like not jumping on a train that maybe somebody else, not like actually, but that somebody else has like said, because it might not be true. And I know like with my grandmother, she was so used to taking bottle caps or like caps of stuff off of them, and new research is coming through that like if the cap is the same material as like the thing you're trying to recycle, leave it on, because it isn't, it takes a longer process for the person that's going through them to take them off. Like, if it's plastic, I mean, some of the tops are the same material as the actual bottles, so like you don't need to take them off. It's like that has become a myth. It's been debunked. Now with like glass jars, like mason jars, the metal, if since that's a different material, you do take those off. But it just depends. You have to kind of like watch that. But like I said, just looking for those resin codes, checking your local guidelines, like Alexis said, like any other guidelines around you, maybe even in your country if you want to bring it out that large, but they have a whole set of numbers. Also, I think iPhones have started doing a thing where you can scan the little like symbol and it'll tell you exactly what it is.
Oh, that's really cool.
I don't want to like say that if it's not true, but I'm pretty sure it did, because I know I was thinking the same thing about, or I was thinking it when I was opening a bottle the other day that had like a weird number, and I scanned it and it came up like underneath my picture.
Really? I'm gonna try that right now. Actually.
But it did that for like laundry stuff, because they added like a new feature in this recent iOS update that like you can scan tags of your like clothing, and if they have like a specific symbol on them, maybe it's like low dry or tumble dry or whatever, You can scan it and your iPhone will tell you exactly what it means or how to like wash it. But so that was really cool. But one myth that I wanted to bring up in the topic of plastic was plastic bags can't be recycled.
Yeah.
Even if your recycling place has like mine has a trash can that says plastic bags here. And oh my God, I don't know if y'all relate to this, but my grandmother has an entire stack of plastic bags in our closet. Like if you open
Oh,
the door,
yes.
it's just there.
Oh, yes.
And I used to have a drawer, so I'm guilty of it too. But seeing that bin at the recycling place, I was like, oh, thank God, I have somewhere to put these. And I was like, I'm so uneducated. Like they're too flimsy. They don't like they'll get caught in machines. You can't really repurpose them unless they're like made out of like good material. But they can't be recycled. So next time you see that's false advertising, don't believe that you're doing the right thing like I did. Just either upcycle them the best you can. We did an Earth Day event last year, or this past spring, where it was like, I think the theme was around ocean plastic pollution, and we made plastic bracelets, like plastic bag bracelets, and I love those. They really are strong, because the more that you like make them into twine, literally plastic bag twine, it's so strong, it's durable. It might not be the look that the people in high school may be looking for, but it's just a way to use them in the case you're artsy craftsy, you want to do something with your hands. Make plastic yarn.
I was just about to bring that up because I've seen, as a crocheter, I have seen people literally take plastic bags and, I guess, roll them up or however you would do it, or just break it down cut it into strips. And I've seen people literally make a bag out of plastic bags by crocheting it, by using it as a yarn. I think it is one of the coolest things. And like you said, it may not be the most fashionable thing, but at the same time, you're taking those things that may not be able to reused another way, and you're finding a whole new way to repurpose and reuse it. And at my house, we're also guilty of the plastic bag cabinet. You just open the cabinet and there's just plastic bags all in there, that we just save for, I don't even know, just whenever it comes up, it's like, oh, you got a grocery bag, and it just comes up.
I know. I've tried my best to start using the tote bags and stuff that you can get at the grocery store. The ones at like Aldi and Lidl, like they're 99¢.
Yeah.
And I would literally just grab one and there we go. Like they're usually very, very big and durable. So like I can put them in my trunk of my car, and next time I go out to get groceries, I don't need to worry about bags. And there was a bag shortage at a Kroger near me recently. And as much as it felt kind of dystopia, because like everybody's like putting all these random things in their bins and they're like trying really hard to fit everything in their hands, whatever, it also was like, this is what it should be. Like we shouldn't have all this plastic everywhere. And so it was kind of like nice to kind of take a step back and reevaluate our situation.
Absolutely. And it, like you said, it should be that way. I go to a few stores nowadays, Uptown Cheapskate, if you're in Georgia, great secondhand shopping, but they are bagless. As far as I know, every time I go, they just fold it up and good to go. Another vintage store I know we've mentioned is Ecology in Kennesaw. They're bagless. And I try to say I don't need a bag whenever I go somewhere. I have a reusable bag that folds up and I keep it in my purse with me, so that way I can go ahead and have it out. And it's huge. Like I could fit, one time I went to Goodwill and I just like filled it with yarn, and it filled the whole thing. It was amazing. But it's easier than you think it is to be sustainable. It just takes that little bit of effort, like I was saying. You just have to want it just a little bit. And if you just make that little change, you could be contributing to a larger change in the whole world.
Yeah, for real. Well, thank y'all for tuning in. If you feel like you're a little overwhelmed on all the things that, you could do to change, that's what this is for. I mean, like, you have to be overwhelmed to be able to, like we're talking about, make that little change. But we hope that you keep tuning in. Look at our recent Instagram posts for any updated climate news, and we'll see you next time.
See you next time.